All right, everyone, listen up. You think life's a smooth ride? Think again. From hot takes to vodka breaks, I'm here to serve it straight. No chaser, just a twist of lime. It's time to get real. Pour yourself a skinny bitch and get ready for a vodka lecture. From me, Krissy Marsh, unfiltered, unapologetic, and straight to the point. Get ready for your weekly shot of reality. Guys, guess what? You know it. It's 2025. You need to get your shit together. You need to get things happening. You don't want to waste another year where everything happens and it's 2024. Goodbye. 2025. You can make a change. It's easy to do. We just need to get started. Okay, vodka lectures. Why vodka lectures? Well, everyone knows I'm partial to a skinny bitch. Vodka, lime and soda. But that's not the only reason vodka lectures came about. I have many nieces and nephews. Auntie Krissy's always here to give some advice. So it's really, really important for me to be able to share these simple tools with you to make a difference to your life in 2025. I'm sick of hearing people saying, I'm single, I can't meet anyone, I don't have enough money, I don't know whether to move in with my boyfriend, I don't know whether to move out, like when's the right time? I can answer all these questions. It's super, super simple. Come along for the ride with me and I'll teach you how. Okay, so the vodka lecture originally started, as I said, with my nieces and nephews. The biggest thing that was really hard was I'd wake up in the morning and they'd be like, oh my God, do you realize the shit you said to me last night? Do you realize? I said, yeah, I do realize what I said to you last night, and that's what's going to change your life. That's what's going to make the difference to you. So if you keep doing the same things that you did in 2024, you'll be knocking at the door of 2026 and wasted 2025, and you're still single, you still don't have enough money, you still mightn't have met the man or woman of your dreams, you still mightn't have gotten that perfect job. It's all about taking baby steps and actually facing reality. Okay, what's your reality now? You don't have to come up with a million things at once. I'm not saying everyone needs to find a man. I'm not saying everyone needs to have a bulging bank account to make you happy, but everyone's got to have a purpose in life. And it's what matters to you inside yourself. So you might have been really struggling to find a job. You might know that you're really struggling with finances. You might know that you've been really struggling trying to find a partner. You know what's important to you. So that's the first and most basic thing. I'm going to take you through how to set goals for the year. I'm going to teach you how to make a real difference super simply in your life. I can sit here now. I've got, 3 beautiful children, a beautiful husband. Yes, I have some fantastic things around me, but I see the difference I make in people's lives every single day by just having a simple chat. You know the answers, not me. And when I sit down with these young people, old people, whoever it is that I encounter, and start mentoring, I really realize how a vodka lecture, which is basically a kick up the ass, because you know what you need to do. So, okay, let's break it down super simply. Tell me now, what is your issue? It could be a number of things. It could be the finance. It could be a partner. It could be that you're in a really toxic relationship. It could be a whole raft of things. So you know that. So what you need to do now is set some goals. Oh yeah, everyone talks about, I'm going to manifest the life I want. I mean, what the hell does that mean? Manifest the life you want. No, you are going to create the life you want, but you're going to do it in small little chunks and you're going to do it in baby steps. Look, I was lucky enough to have a fantastic upbringing in the sense that my parents were really, really positive. And I know not everyone has that. Not everyone's taught how to wake up of a morning and look in the mirror and actually love yourself. And that's where the baby steps come in. You've got to literally stop thinking, stop overanalyzing, stop talking in your head to yourself, and look at the language you speak to yourself inside your head. That's one of the most important things, especially with the younger generation. I find people expect too much of themselves, think too much and analyze too much rather than doing. Stop thinking and start doing. Get off the couch now. If you are overweight, set yourself some goals in terms if you want to lose the weight. If you want to become healthier in your life, set yourself some goals to do that. For example, when I first bought my house at 17, that seems like an unachievable goal for most people. But I started working at 13 and I was always super, super interested in money. I was super interested in saving plans, in saving money. And this is where the goals come into place. Everyone goes, oh yeah, I want to save 10% of my wage, or I want to save, but That's just absolute waste of time. Literally from the day I was born, believe it or not, I've always wanted to buy a house. I always had that dream and goal in mind. And I know that sounds ridiculous. As a 13-year-old working in Suzanne Gray, vacuuming the floors, I knew with my $3.50 wage, I wanted to save for that house. So I already had that big long-term goal already out in the future. That was already well and truly out there. For me, it was never a matter of, am I going to do this? I just always knew I would buy my own house. Did I know it was going to be at 17? I used to live in Brisbane, so admittedly, houses are a lot cheaper than they are in many of the other places in the world. But I did have a very clear goal. So for me, it was always working to that goal. It was cutting it down and saying, okay, well, how much am I going to save this year? If I'm on $3.50 and I'm only working Saturdays, clearly I wasn't on a big wage. So this is what I'm trying to get through. You don't have to be on a big wage to have this big goal. You start small, and that's the way to do it. The most important thing with goals is I break them down into categories. So that was obviously, you could look at that and say, yes, that's a personal goal of mine. It was a pie in the sky at 13 years of age to think that I would buy a house at 17. I've even gotten so specific later on in life, it wasn't just about the 17-year-old house. I wrote when I was living in China in 2014 that I would buy a house in Noosa in 2019 in November. Where would I get that from? I just plucked it out of the sky. I like to have a date. I like goals to be specific. And guess what? I ended up buying a house in 2019, and the settlement kept getting delayed, and no fault of my own, it ended up settling in November 2019. So I don't know whether it's putting it out to the universe or what happens, but it does happen and it does work. The simplest thing you have to do, though, is write it down. And I'm not going to write down, I want a house in November 2019. You write down, I own a house in 2019. I own a house in 2030. It's actually got to be present, it's current, and it has already happened. Any goal you have has already happened. And I hate talking about weight because I've never been on a diet and I've never talked about weight and I've never weighed myself. If I turn around and say, I want to be 70 kilos by March, that figure, it's already happened. It's already present. If I want to save $10,000 by June 2025, then you've got to work backwards. You can't just have that goal sitting there and saying, I want to, save $10,000. What you've then got to do is go, okay, between now, January and June is 5 months of my wages, then work it back. How much do I need to give each month? This is where you're getting into the detail. You cannot fail to do that. You cannot fail to put that money away because you've already worked it out. But by plucking a figure out of your head and saying, I want $100,000 by June. Well, unless you're going to go and rob a bank, honey, it ain't going to happen. So that's the other thing. Goals must be realistic. Okay, present tense, done. Realistic. You're not going to start off now in 2025 and write yourself 10,000 things. Write yourself 5 things. Start with personal. Are there any medical checks that you have not gotten done last year that you've been putting off? Write those as simple things. That is a goal. That is a goal. I will get a health check. I will go to the doctors and do this by February 2025. Bang. February 2025 comes, you have that doctor's appointment. That is a goal that you have achieved. It's about getting your shit together. It's about getting your life together. Okay, you've been in this toxic relationship with this guy. It's gone on and on and on. You don't know whether to break up. You don't know whether to stay together. It's going on and on in your mind. What you might set a goal to say, I want to have a fabulous life by June 2025. That might mean making changes and staying with him, or that might mean getting the hell out. Only you can determine that. And that's what's really, really important is you've got to be setting these goals. And don't write down 10,000 things. Write down 5 personal goals that you think are important to yourself. For example, I have had the same thing on my goal sheet for about 30 years, which is I wake up every morning and I have lemon and hot water. I mean, that sounds ridiculous. Yes, after 25 years, that is my habit. I still keep it on my goal sheet, which I laminate and put in the shower. And I look up every morning when I'm having a shower, I'm like, geez, I'm kicking life, Chrissy. You've had your first goal. You've done it. You've drunk that lemon in hot water. This is what I'm saying. It's all about, then that makes me feel good. Then that perpetuates into my next goal. So having my first goal as, Krissy, today you're going to do a 3-hour workout. And every morning I get up and I have my shower and I look at that goal, and Krissy hasn't done a 3-hour workout. So I feel like shit. So that's what I'm saying. Set your goals. A, realistically. 2, in the present tense. 3, things that are meaningful for you. So it'll be categorized, personal. So another personal goal of mine might be, a medical check. It might be that I want to go to Pilates, but I won't just say I want to go to Pilates. I'll say I do Pilates Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Be specific, okay? That's the most important thing. Okay, let's think about the next category. It might be financial. You got yourself in debt. I've never been more stressed in my life when, I'm 21 years of age, I've got a mortgage, it's the second house I've bought, and I'm sitting there with a credit card bill of $3,000 and I'm freaking the hell out because I can't make the minimum payment. Okay, so this is where you go, this is how much I've got on my credit card, break it down, make it as a goal per paycheck of what you're going to pay off. And work out, okay, it might take me a year to get that $3,000 down, but God forbid I'm not going to put any more money onto that credit card continually until I pay that minimum payment. So it's what's important to you. It's that feeling of getting out of debt. And there's nothing worse. So it's that choice. And it's all the little shit that you find out. Once you have that goal, you're not going to buy that shit, like that magazine, like that extra coffee. You're going to take the lunch from home because you've got the goal. The goal is to pay off the debt. So it's really simple. It's you sitting down and realizing what's good for you. I was mentoring a young guy recently in his 20s, and really, really super successful guy. He's doing a double degree at uni. He's actually coaching 5 days a week. And, he's still putting himself under pressure, but I need an internship. I need this. I need that. I'm like, buddy, give yourself a break. You're working 5 days a week. You're doing a double degree. And this is the thing. With Instagram and everything that's going on with social media, everyone's continually pulling out and, oh, she's got this and he's got that. You know what, guys? You do not know what's going on behind closed doors with anyone. So it's super important. Just stick to your little 5 goals of a day. It might be 10 goals. Just stick to what you need and what you know. That's important. Look, I do mentoring sessions the whole time. I don't charge money for it, but I get inside people's heads because they're the ones that have got the answers. You already know the answers. You just need some simple tips and tricks in order to get there. Okay, guys, things that everyone worries about is obviously your health. And you know how you're going to change that is exercising more, eating better, but break it down. I mean, if you're a fizzy drink person, well then if that's a goal, stick to it. Substitute it with something else. Substitute it with a kombucha. But rather than write, I will not have fizzy drinks, that's just a negative. You never put a goal in a negative. You should be putting, I drink only water, or I drink kombucha, or whatever it might be that you're going to substitute that fizzy drink with. That is a positive reinforcement of what you should be doing. So ways to change your health, exercising more, and write those down. Mondays, I go for a half an hour walk. Tuesdays, I go to Pilates with a girlfriend. Wednesdays, I do this. I can't tell you how many times when I'm mentoring that I hear, oh my gosh, I never have enough money. I'm broke. I'm this, I'm that. Well, you know what? You're spending well and truly above your means. And I know everyone goes, oh, that's easy to you to say. You've got money. Well, you know what? I haven't always had money, but I understand my relationship with money. And my relationship with money has always been very, very good. And that's what you've got to understand. What is your relationship with money? Your relationship with money means, how do you feel about money? I always believe that I will always have enough money. And you've got to have that abundance style mindset. But look, when I'm sitting there $3,000 in debt, as a 21-year-old with a mortgage that I can barely afford, do I think, oh yes, I always have money? Yeah, I've still got to think that, but I've also got to work out a plan in order to make that happen, in order to create those saving goals that you have. And you know what? I don't want to hear, if you're not prepared to put some steps in place, I don't want to hear that you don't have money. If you look at write down for a week what you spend your money on, and you will see so many subscriptions, so many, Apple things you bought on Apple, that apps that they're just wasting your time. Go through and do an absolute audit of your bank account. Go and see when you're tapping away, see what you're spending the money on and see what you can change. I think that's the most important thing, is do a whole review of your finances. And that might mean, asking someone for help. That might mean if you've got a mortgage, actually taking the time to sit. Like, I squeeze the shit out of an end of a toothpaste. And people go, why would you do that? Because for me, that shows to me every time I'm cutting the toothpaste and using the last little bit, that is my relationship with money. I never, ever waste money. I'm very mindful about how I spend. I'm mindful about food waste. And look, I'm not perfect. This is something that I've created over the years. Look, I'm probably spending a little bit too much on my skinny bitches, but girls got to live. I'm not telling you to do without everything, but rather than eating takeout 4 nights a week, which is incredibly unhealthy probably, have takeout 2 nights a week and cook at home and plan your meals, plan your groceries so you're not actually wasting. I mean, there's so many of those food services that for singles out there, it's a great idea because you're only getting the quantity of food that you need to cook for that amount of people. There are so many ways to save money, but you're not going to start until you actually get, hello, Mike, until you actually break it down and set some goals around that. So that's a really important thing to do. And I think the other thing is, you look at what's affecting you most in your life. It might be your job. A lot of people sit there and go, I hate my job. I hate my job. Well, you know what? I've heard so many people whinging about their job. Well, you know what? Start making steps to change it. And do you know how easy it is to find a new job? It is so easy. It's a matter of starting and connecting. It's a matter of making connections. First thing, get a shit ass kicking resume. Get 10 people to look over it. If you don't have 10 people to look over it, send it through to me and I'll check it for you because I'm a whiz at doing that. And then start looking at the industries you want to go into, or start looking at the companies, start researching, start making it your power. When I first left school, I went into property. I started as a foreign exchange broker, went from a foreign exchange broker to work for Ritz-Carlton Hotels and was the top 10 salesperson for Ritz-Carlton. Went from Ritz-Carlton Hotels into industrial property. Such diverse careers because I sold it to people. I worked out the industry I then wanted to be in. I worked out how I was going to get there. And it's a matter of breaking things down. If you're deciding that, you're working in a cafe at the moment and you really don't want to do that, but maybe you want to get into real estate and property, start going when, a real estate agent comes into the cafe, start saying to them, look, would you mind being my mentor? That is the biggest thing in life. People want to help. People that have been successful or that have done well or even have the career that you would like, they would love to sit and have a chat. So make it your goal. I'm going to do 2 things a day that's going to get me closer to my new job. That might be 1, working on your resume. It might be 2, meeting a mentor. It might be 3, meeting a contact. Reach out on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is amazing at finding people in the career that you might want to be in. Send them a message. Hey, look, I've seen you've got the exact career that I want to do in 10 years' time. How did you get there? This is all about breaking it down into goals. And if you're going to sit there and whinge every single day that you're not in the job you want and you're not doing any steps to get there, well, good luck, honey. You're going to be there in 2026 as well. The other thing that gives me the shits more than anything, guess what? I'm single, guys. I can't find a man. I can't find a girl. I can't find this. I'm in a bad relationship. Well, what have you done? What have you done to actually change anything? Okay, if I was single, believe it or not, guys, I'm going to tell you something. I was single for 2 years. I know it's hard to believe because I'm so fabulous, but we didn't have the internet dating before I was married. I didn't have anything online. I would make that my job. If you want to be in a good relationship by the end of 2025, well, guess what? You got to get out there. It's not just about being on online dating. Do things differently. Go and join a walking group. Go and join a new gym. Ask a colleague at work, hey, do you know any single people? Like literally make it your job. Do 2 things a day that's going to get you closer to that goal of being in a relationship. I mean, if it's swiping left, swiping right, whatever you've got to do, make it happen. And this is what goals will do. You have that goal on your wall every day and you're reading it, whether it's on the toilet, whether it's in your bedroom, And you cannot be in your phone. I know you carry your phone around like me. I carry this thing around 24/7, but you're not going to sit there and look at your goals on your phone. You're going to be looking at Instagram like me or something else that's far more interesting than looking at your goals. However, if you're standing in the shower, if you're sitting on the toilet where you might spend a lot of time, I don't want to hear about your toilet issues, but if it is, this is where you're going to read it. And every morning for me, it's in the shower. I'm doing nothing else but wash myself. So I'm sitting there reading them and I'm like, yep, I'm going to do that. Yep. And if it's, I want to be in a good relationship by June 2025, I'm thinking, well, shit, what have I done this week to get there? Go and meet with friends. Join a singles club. There's so many different things that you can be doing. It's exactly like a job interview. When people go to me, I start asking them questions that they'd be asked in a job interview. And they're like, I don't know that answer to that. Guys, go and Google the 10 most asked interview questions and prepare yourself on those questions. It's exactly like a date. Before you go on that date, prepare for that date. What am I going to talk about? You're not going to talk about your ex-boyfriends, your ex-relationships, your ex-girlfriends, what went wrong here. You're going to go with a positive mindset. If you're 50 and you're going on a date, think about when you were 18 going on a date. You didn't come with all the baggage, all the shit of ex-husbands, all the shit of ex-girlfriends, all the shit of whatever you're bringing along. Don't bring the bags with you, honey. Show up fresh and inviting. This is the problem. People don't prepare in life enough. And look, I'm the worst person at that because I shoot from the hip. I never prepare what I'm going to say, like this whole thing today. I've just sat down and I'm starting to talk to you. But I do prepare in life. I do prepare goals. I do know where I want to be. I know where I want to be tomorrow. I know where I want to be in 10 years' time. I know where I want to be in 20 years' time. And can I tell you, if you do not like your job now, you're not going to like it tomorrow unless, one, you make some changes. Go and discuss with your job what's wrong. Go and talk to your boss. Listen, and don't be a whinger and a whiner, but say, hey, I've been here 5 years and I've never gotten a pay increase. I don't want to leave the company. I'm super loyal. And if it doesn't change, then you need to change. You need to go out and look for that new job. You know, I was really good. And when I'm in the job, set yourself some goals. If you're sitting there as a waitress, but you want to be the maitre d' or the door bitch, well, then make the goal of when you want to get to that position, when you want to get. Sit down with your boss and say, hey, I really want to set some goals for myself. I don't feel like I'm progressing enough. Can you help me with that? They're like, wow, this guy's going places. I'm impressed. So this is exactly what I'm talking about, is you know what you need to do. The problem is you're not prepared to make those changes because maybe you don't want this enough. So then that's fine. Sit in your job and keep whinging because you're going to be doing that next year and the year after and the year after. It's same as being single, in a toxic relationship, in an environment you don't want to be in. It's hard to make change. I hate change more than anyone on the planet. I hate change, but I do know that change brings success. Change brings results. And guys, you have to be the ones to decide what is important in your life. And it is so simple. This is it. Get out a pen now with me. Get out a piece of paper right now. Okay? Okay, I'll wait a couple of minutes. I'm thirsty. I've hardly had a drink all day. So if you got the paper, I don't give a shit. Take notes on your phone if you're on the bus. Wherever it is, do it now. Okay, write down in your personal life, what do you want? Make it simple. I will eat healthier. I will not have I don't like nots in there. See, this is why I review goals. And that's the thing. Do not laminate the first day you write these goals. Stick with these goals for a week. You'll think of things, you'll add on things. Once you get on that positive train, baby, it's hard to get off. And literally, I was lucky enough that my parents put me on that positive train from the day I was born. But you can get on that train anytime you want. You can decide to change that mindset. Okay, so positive train is I will eat healthier in 2025. Bang. Okay, next point down. I eat in 3 days a week. I only have takeaway 2 nights out. Another personal goal is I want to save 10% of my wage, then work back. How much money is that you need to save? Put it in a totally separate bank account that you don't see. Start an ING Advantage Saver, and it's not an advert. It can be anything. It can be set up within your regular bank account, but do it so you don't see that money, because if you don't see it, you're not going to spend it. Like, guys, I have got one of the most addictive personalities in the world. I was spending about close to, I mean, I was smoking back in the day, 2 packs, but they were only about $10, $20 a pack back then, not like what they are now. So I decided not only for my health, because I've got such an addictive personality, I'd get up and have one before I went to yoga, So I decided like I had to give up smoking. And guess what? I had that goal that I was going to give up smoking by a certain date. And guess how many times I did not make that date? So many times. I'd be out, I'd have a couple of drinks, I'd pick up a cigarette again, I'd be back spending that money. Then I actually worked out, what is this going to save me for the year? And it was like, say if you're smoking 2 packs a week or you're vaping or whatever your vice might be, you cut that back and you say, I'm not going to put that in a savings account. I'm going to treat myself because I am making my health better. I'm changing my life. I'm going to live a lot longer. So I would go and do a massage once a week. I'd go and get a facial once a week. So all of a sudden, I don't feel deprived of whatever I'm giving up. I actually feel like this is giving me something. And look, everyone goes, oh, don't talk about drugs. Don't talk about this. It's so unfavorable because everyone's got to try drugs. Everyone's got to do this. Everyone's got to do that. Well, no, you don't. Everyone's different. If I was someone that could pick up a cigarette today and put it down, I would smoke 1 cigarette for the rest of my life. I've said to my sisters, when I'm 85, I'll probably pick it up again. But this is what I'm saying is you know yourself. I know I've got an addictive personality. I know I could never pick up a cigarette again because I'd be back churning them away. I know that if I did one line, I'd be the last person in the toilets at the end of the night. You know yourself better than anyone else. You know how to make the changes. You know what you need to do. If you're sitting there going, oh my gosh, I'm so anxious, but you're sitting there popping pills for the last 3 days and then you've got to go up and do your job and everything. And you know what? Life does seem overwhelming when you've got all those other chemicals in your body and everything going on. So you know what? You know what you've got to do. And I'm not saying don't take drugs. I'm not saying don't do this, don't do that. You know what you've got to do. And if you feel really bad after an all-weekend bender, then you've got to reevaluate your life because you don't want to walk around feeling anxious. And also, I find, this is a whole other episode for a whole other day, but it's all about setting these goals. And anxiety is something that I don't really want to touch on just today because it is a very personal topic for so many people. And look, anyone can make themselves anxious at any time because everyone's got a lot going on in their lives. But I'm telling you, if you wake up and you have 5, 10 simple goals that you just need to focus on from the day, you're going to be feeling a lot less anxious. I never forget one of my nieces, and luckily I've got a lot because I don't want to be calling them out right now. I'm like, come on, it's goal setting day. We've got to do this today. And they're like, oh my God, honey, Chrissy, when you say that, it just makes me anxious and I don't want to think of the things I've got to do. Well, you know what, honey, if you keep along like that, 1, you're not going to achieve anything. 2, your anxiety is going to cripple you to a point where you won't get anything done in your life. And I said, okay, well, let's not think about what you need to do for your goals. Let's write down a couple of goals that you can do for someone else. So I was working with this one boy this year, and he's not a boy, he's a man. So I don't know why I called him a boy. And he had been to Europe, had done, a lot of drugs when he was over there and wondered why he came back not feeling like the same person and was super, super anxious. So I basically said to him, I walked with him because sitting across from him looking down the barrel like I am to you is probably a lot to take in. At least there's a bit of Wi-Fi or cyberspace in between us. So I was walking with him and I said, you know what, let's not even think about what you need to do right now because I said, actually, you're doing a great job of exactly what you're doing. And that's the thing. You don't have to reach for the stars all at once. Just, mental health is such a big thing. And look, I'm jumping around in topics because this is how my head works. But all of these things are all interrelated. Goal setting, how you feel, how you wake up, how you're talking to yourself, all of these things are combined. Your relationships with others. We are complex human beings. This is a complex world we live in. Why do we put ourselves under pressure? Why do we think we have to have that internship straight away? Why do we think we have to drive that Rolls Royce because it's not going to make you feel any better? Happiness is found right here and now. Happiness is taking control of your life. Happiness is taking control of your year. If you can't think to the end of 2025 right now, make yourself a goal for tomorrow. Make yourself a goal for the week. Make yourself a goal for the month. And that's how your goals should be broken down. As simple as that. I'm going to put up on our socials a couple of sample goals so you don't have to sit there and worry about, am I doing it right? Am I not? But write some personal goals, write some financial goals, write some pie in the sky goals. And you know what? Pie in the sky goals is that girl at 13 that I was that said I wanted to own a house by 17. That was a pie in the sky goal, but that was my goal and I got there. I wanted to run my own business. When I had Billy was my first baby, I left work, and as I was leaving work, and I had a really, really successful career. I was a director at Chesterton International in industrial and commercial property. I knew that I always wanted to have a baby. I knew that that's what I wanted in my life, but I always knew that I couldn't be a stay-at-home mom and I wanted flexibility. So I thought, you know what? I'll start a business off. I literally started one day a week. I started in a little office and it grew and grew and grew. 15 years later, I had an exceptionally successful business called Billy Corp. I absolutely loved going to work every single day. And I would say to all my staff, the day I come into work and I don't want to be here will be the day I close the doors. And guess what? In 2014, I got really sick and I realized with what was going on medically, I realized I can't do this. I can't come into work every day and give everyone the positivity. I want to become an employee. So I changed, I sold my business and I became an employee. So it's not about always saying it's got to be bigger, it's got to be better, it's got to be more, it's got to be this. You could be at a point right now in your life where it's all too much. So you know what? Stop. Take a break. I mean, I know one of the most incredible people I know. I met at a market stall when I was buying some potatoes. He had an incredible, successful career as a chef to the point where, you know, chefs are under a huge amount of pressure. That got to him. It got enough for him. It was too much for his mental health. So he was smart enough to go, you know what? I need a break right now. He went to work on a farm, you know, regrouped on his mental health, regrouped what was important in his life. And then he went out and became a carpenter, totally changed careers for himself. Lucky for me, he still loves to cook. But, you know, I'm not saying that you need more with your goals. You know what you need. And that's the thing. Be kind to yourself, watch yourself talk, plan out a few things. You don't have to recreate the world. I hope by the time we finish this, I've at least had written on your list 2 personal goals, 2 financial goals. And you know what? Friggin' write 5 pies in the sky because that's right out there. You know, you might be in your 60s and you might say, look, by 80, I want to be cruising the world. By, you know, people like, I want to travel every year. Well, for me, I couldn't think of anything worse. For me, I'd probably love to stay with my dogs at home every year. So do what's right for you. You know what you need to do. You know what you need to do to make the changes. I'm here just giving you a vodka lecture. I really do want you to be the best version of you by the end of 2025. And I can guarantee you this podcast is going to help you get there. If you tune in and subscribe every Sunday night, you will be a better version of yourself. Tell your friends about it so you don't miss a vodka lecture with me, Krissy Marsh. And you know what? You can even get a personal vodka lecture. Just look at the description below and send your comments in. Look forward to hearing from you. Ciao.